Hello everyone. So this is going to be the second episode of the Android app development series. So this is going to be a lab. So basically the idea is that we want to make an app with three red, green, and blue sliders. And then when one slider is moved, we want to change the background color to make it look like that color specified by the RGB settings. And then this will allow the user to make some colors. So for this, we're going to be using the SeekBar widget. So the SeekBar widget is similar to a slider. It'll specify values within a range that's customized by the user. Default is between 0 and 100, but we're going to modify our SeekBars to take a value between 0 and 256, which is the RGB standard. And this will use an OnSeekBarChangeListener. So what that is when the SeekBar changes its value, the listener will fire an event, and this will be set for each of the three listeners, and it's similar to the on-click listener for the button that we used from the first lab. Okay, so I'll start that now. So here we go to our app, so we have everything set up. This is activity main and main activity from the first video. So if you don't know how to set that up, go to my previous videos. So here we will just drag and drop a SeekBar here. So now you can see it has some default attributes. So we can just drag this to the appropriate size. So I want it to be centered, and I want all three of them to be centered. I'll make 3 of these in a moment. So right now we're just going to set the default size, and we're going to also set the ID of the SeekBar to correspond to what color it means. So this one will be red bar. And then this is how it's going to be set up. So then we're also going to have for green and for blue, and we're going to set those to the same size as well. So give me a moment while I do that. Alright, so now we have one for each of red, green, and blue, and I'll be changing. Okay, so now we have red, green, and blue. So, but so first we're going to have in our main activity, when the app is opened, we're going to have to be able to access each one of these 3 sliders. So what we want to do is that this is a common practice, is that we want to go to the documentation and we want to see what specifically we would be using. Okay, so right now I'll do that. So so this is for the red bar. So it's similar to last video. For a widget, we just do find view by ID, and then r.id.redBar. So now this will allow us to access our red bar, and then we'll do the same thing for green bar and blue bar. So now we have all 3 of those in the workspace, so now we can modify them. So first what we want to do is that since the default width of each one of these will be 100, so it'll go from 0 at the left side to 100 on the right side. So instead we want this to be between 0 and 255. So what we're going to do is set that according to plan. So here what we would do is that there's a specific method called setMin and setMax. So we can set min and set max for each one of these. So specifically, since we already have min as 0, we want to set the maximum as 255 for each of these. So we do redbar.setMax and then 255. And then we can do that for each one of these. So the next thing is that we also want to implement that listener, so that OnSeekBarChangeListener. So it's going to be similar to the button from last time. We're going to use SeekBar.set on change listener. So red bar dot set on SeekBar change listener, and then new on SeekBar change listener, and then you see Android Studio has conveniently filled out all of these things for us. So we're not going to be using these two methods, on start tracking touch and on stop tracking touch, because we don't want to do anything when the user takes their finger off or on to one of these bars. Instead, what we want to do is we want to just do something when the progress bar is changed. So this I is going to be our progress. So progress is just the value of the seek bar. So this is more accurately named value. So now what we're going to do is that when red bar is changed, we're going to update the value of red. So we're going to make integers that correspond to this. And we can make our default color, let's say white, because then it'll let the users see everything. So now we're going to basically set r equal to value. But the thing is that since this is a regular variable in this method scope, we have to move this variable to a field variable in order to allow for access of that without making it final. So, and also if you want, you can add private here. It's kind of a convention. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing for both green and blue. So okay, so now we have each one of these corresponding to something. Yeah. So, okay, so now what we want to do is that also whenever the progress is changed for any one of these bars, remember we want to also change the background color right as that is moved, not when the user clicks a button or anything. So what we're also going to have to do is that we're going to have some code that will allow us to access the background color of the layout itself. So the layout, which is the underlying container for all of these components, is the entire background of the phone. So what we want to do is that we want to be able to access this relative layout and then alter its color. So what we're going to have to do first is set an ID for this, as we have with all of our widgets. So we can say layout. So now we'll be able to access it here. So what we want to do is that we want to do something similar to this. We want to just be able to access it by find view by ID, and then there's a method called set background color. We can just do that, and then we can set the color accordingly. So here it's much better to just kind of create the object as a field variable, because then you can access it in each one of these interface methods. So here we're declaring the variable, and here we are going to access the background. So now because we already set default values for each one of R, G, and B, what we want to do now is we want to in addition, we want to set the layout default background as white, as whatever was already set here. So we're going to do layout.set background color. And then the problem right now is that we have to use color.parseColor. But the thing is that color.parseColor only takes this as a string. So we have to do RRGGBB, where RR corresponds to the hexadecimal version of R, and G corresponds to hexadecimal version of G and B is the same. So instead of doing that, we can also do something else. We can create a new color each time, and we can set the red, green, and blue values based on their integer values, which is going to be much simpler for our case. So for here, we're just going to set everything as F, 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 because in hexadecimal, this would just be 255 for each one of those, which means that this corresponds to white. So that just makes it simpler for us. And then here, we have to set the new background color. So we say color equals new color to instantiate the object. And then we would do color.red, and then we would set red equal to the new R value. And then same with the green and blue. So like so. And of course, this needs to be changed here so that the scope does not create any significant problems. So here, now we can just go on and copy paste this code. And then now, what we have to do is just take our layout and then apply this new background color. So set background color. Hi everyone, sorry for that interruption. So actually, so there'll probably be an error when you try to do that. So what's actually better is to just ignore doing all of that and to just go ahead and, so instead we're just going to put in this line of code. So this will do color.rgb, R, G, B. So this will just create a new color based on what we've specified, and then this should work. So we'll try the same thing everywhere else. Alright, now, yeah, so without further ado, I think this should be good enough to actually work. So I'll show you when I get that working on the emulator. So I've gotten it working. So if you'll see this, this app fully works from start to finish. So if we slide the red slider, if we keep everything at 0, then the red slider will make things more red, and if everything's at 0, it turns to black. So you can play around with these colors if you want. So yeah, so this shows us how to create a simple app using a few widgets. So until next time, take care. Best of luck with all of your programming problems. Thank you very much for watching this video.